Radiant team ban.
Hello and welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to a Beyond the Summit presentation. I'm Blaze here with Vikramon. Going to be bringing you guys a game between MUFC and mith.trust. This is Game 2 in this Best of 3 series. The first time around, we see mith.trust just laying waste to MUFC. Every single step of the way, they had a very, very gradual but very, very effective game plan that was just really worked in their favor 100%, whether it was the Weaver finding farm after the Lone Druid kind of relented on the bottom lane there, or whether the Anti-Mage just rebounding to become an unstoppable force. In general, their team fight could not be stopped, and they had the farm to really just back everything up. So nice game from them. But we'll see if MUFC can do something a little bit different to change it around.
I guess you could call it team fight, Blaze, because Anti-Mage, when he casts, when he uses Manta style, is in fact a team, a team of Anti-Mages. Blaze, I view this next game with a mix of excitement and trepidation, because you mentioned that at the end the stand-ins from First Departure on MUFC were saying our strat next time, and if this is Miracle on something like a Morphling or Anti-Mage, and the other team on something like a Morphling or Anti-Mage, which of course is what mith.trust love to play, we could be in for a slugfest reminiscent of days of yore, Blaze. Interesting thing about mith.trust, there was a period in the Dota metagame when everybody sort of switched to the massive metagame kill compositions, right? And carries like Anti-Mage just vanished off the face of the earth. You didn't want anything later game than like a Sven on your team. And I think, honestly, mith.trust weren't putting up that great results in it. But what we've seen now is the game has actually slowed a bit back down, and we see the re-emergence of these hard carries. Leading the charge, of course, was PL. And so there's one school of hard carries that are all... actually, we have two disconnects. Is that... We don't get the drafters, did we? Okay, we're okay.
No.
So we're seeing hard carries come back. And some of them are hard carries that have played early, like PL, like Gyrocopter, but some of them are just straight-up hard carries. And that's, I think, where mith.trust feel pretty comfortable. It's exactly the way they played out that first game. In fact, they drafted up two hard carries. They played the Weaver. I like the way they played the Weaver, the sort of ganky Medallion of Courage, off-lane Weaver, just being annoying enough that MUFC spent a lot of their time pursuing the Weaver, while the kills on the Anti-Mage just got way farmed. So the question for me this game is, I mentioned last time that MUFC gave themselves a low margin of error thing when their team is actually not that well coordinated, just because, you know, they are playing with three stand-ins. I wonder if this game they're going to go for a much safer strategy, thinking, well, you know, it gives us a higher margin of error, we'll be okay. So we could end up with a farm versus farm game, or we could just end up with both teams going for each other's throats, especially if mith.trust feel that they're enough ahead that they can just look to end it. Coddle and Lone Druid. Okay.
Yeah. Interesting composition here. I do like the little bit of a ban for the Anti-Mage taking that out so they don't have to worry about Miracle running that one there. But yeah, drafting up the Lone Druid, last time around, it paid off for them as far as the lane situation. They were able to do so much with the Druid. One solid entangle, some good sentry action. Suddenly that lane was theirs. Lone Druid's so darn good at 1v1, but the question is whether or not they'll actually be able to make that pick worth it when it comes down to the later stages of the game. Right now, there is a Keep of the Light, and as we know, if you're looking for a carry that synergizes well with that, we could be looking at the Phantom Lancer here, which would work really well into their playstyle, as you were mentioning.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, we could see the PL. I would honestly not be tremendously surprised. It adds even more push onto the Lone Druid. I am amused by that Anti-Mage ban, because coming from mith.trust, who had second pick, that means that they were also pretty confident that MUFC were going to first pick the Anti-Mage, which, God, I feel like it's been a year since anybody was first picking AM, but, you know, it could be just the game for that. But MUFC, they do duck that. They end up taking this Coddle Lone Druid, and I like this pick. They could add the PL on here. mith.trust actually picking up the Rubik. This is good because it means that MUFC can't draft it against the Magnus. And this gives them their entire support complement already. Rubik, Leshrac, great setup for a tri-lane. And they're just going to wait for the next ban phase to actually pick out their big carry this time.
Yeah. So, in this position here, I mean, I think you're talking about the Anti-Mage. It was actually the people that had the first pick were the ones that banned out the Anti-Mage. But
oh, you're right. Sorry.
Nevertheless, they have drafted up a really cool lane situation right here. They have the Rubik, they have the Leshrac. Again, Rubik is far less of a pick for themselves and more so a pseudo ban to make sure that MUFC can't counteract with it, because a Rubik plus Keeper of the Light Lane is great, and of course stealing it to make sure that the Magnus doesn't get Unforgiven RPs off, I think would be something that they really can't afford if they want to maintain map control. So they get the Rubik, they can combine that with Telekinesis and Split Earth to dish out a ton of damage, and it's one of those things that even a Spirit Bear that roams on around can have a rough time in certain situations here. But right now, not really worrying about that number 1 carry. Picking up the puck, what do you think?
It's an interesting pick because what it means is that in this next phase we're going to see the twilight of the carries, basically, just in terms of bans. And it actually, MUFC have put themselves in an interesting position because, of course, they can run the Lone Druid as a primary farmer, just go hard in the paint on that Lone Druid, make sure that he can farm, does a ton of damage, is able to push. And so they're on just a little more solid ground as far as they can draft a harder carry, they can draft PL if he gets through the bans, but they don't have to. Whereas mith.trust, I don't think they're going to feel comfortable with a team like we saw Neo International use earlier. Like, they're not going to go a 0 carry, like, Genki teamfight team. They do want to carry for Lakels to play, and it may survive the ban phase or it may not. Both teams dipping heavily into their reserve time to sort of figure this out. Especially mith.trust, it's like, do we ban carries at the risk of potentially not having them for us to pick? And they do go with the Shadow Demon. I like that a lot more, frankly.
Yeah, I mean, so definitely limiting the options that can support Keeper of the Light here. They're looking for Initiation setup to charge up that Illuminate just a little bit further. You tack on an extra 2.5 seconds to that Illuminate, and suddenly it's that much more powerful by far. But there's still a couple of different things in the pool can still provide quite a bit of setup here, and we'll have to see exactly what MUFC has in mind. But for right now, taking off the Weaver, just tired of that kind of pressure from the dual core lineup and that pressure that really hurt them a lot in the later stages of the game. Medallion set up Roche very nicely and also made MUFC extremely afraid to venture out of their homes. It's not exactly a Clinks pick as far as the gank ability of this hero, but it's still, it kind of has a nice, beautiful balance between offensive potential and survivability. You just can't commit only a couple heroes and try to bring him down. You have to bring the whole party, and from there, that's how mith.trust creates space.
I don't think Clinks is in the offing. I just don't expect to see it.
Oh, no, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying as far as the aggression potential, I'm not saying it's not. I'm not saying it's that scary, but it does have a twofold advantage with the potential to survive through a lot of health.
Yeah, definitely. I totally get what you're saying. TA actually taken out, so I like this. This is another position that they could run something like a Puck solo and then a TA mid, and then TA is a very opportunity-generating hero, and it's something that if MUFC want to double down on, that will take mith.trust out early before their hard carry gets farmed. It's a hero that can easily do that because she has very high, snowballing potential. Essentially, she can get big and sort of take you all down, and she's just no slouch in terms of damage dealing. She can beat Magnus in the middle fairly handily. We just don't see her that much anymore, but I honestly think she could do a lot of work in this game, so I like this ban for mith.trust.
I don't really personally agree with it. Obviously, I'm not the go-to guy for Asian Dota metagames, so I might be missing something completely. The one thing that they really do have for Templar Assassin pick is that it's amazing against Magnus, 1 versus 1. It's just probably one of the best heroes to go right up against him here. I actually go for an Invoker. Holy crap, I haven't seen that guy in a while, so that's going to be pretty cool.
I did want to say quickly, TA is valued a little higher in the Asian metagame, especially in China, where she's still regarded as big. There's the PL.
That's what I'm saying, though. If you don't ban out the PL, they're going to pick it up, no problem at all. They got a great foundation laid with all these 3 others, and they already had a Puck, a Lone Druid. The TA, it would have worked as far as its prioritization, but the laning situation would have been a completely different story. But either way, PL coming out, but very well expected because Alchemist can go for some Acid Spray and Mjolnir action, which could just cleave down those pretty effectively as long as Alchemist finds his farm.
I think they knew they knew the PL was there. That's why these teams took so long to do those bans. It was like, how many carries do we ban? Do we ban out that PL? That was really honestly the main choice they had to make. But they leave it. mith.trust knew they were leaving it, and I like the Invoker Alchemist for dealing with it. Invoker, very strong hero, still has a ton of upside, honestly. And if he gets the farm, if they use him as one of their core heroes, he can do a ton of damage even to a stack of Phantom Lancer illusions just with the combo of, you have the Deafening Blast, you have the Meatball, you just have a lot of damage you can deal, and in addition to the incredible AoE damage that a farmed Alchemist does. So mith.trust actually taking the less hard carry in this, but he will be able to get that gold much faster than the PL does. And we do see the Sea Dodo Sand King coming up too. So
Nice.
this gives MUFC a good all-around lineup too, I feel. They can bring the big magic damage early. Puck Sand King is no slouch as far as throwing out a ton of magic damage. And they can bring it late with huge push from the PL and Lone Druid. The question for me, as always, is when you run 3 stand-ins, even though these are 3 excellent stand-ins and they're all from the same team, can you get the execution? And that's what I think we're here to see.
Yeah, unfortunately I did get a quick crash, so I'm going to try to load back on as soon as possible. It shouldn't take much more than about 30 seconds. But as far as what we're talking about here, I think the landing situation is actually going to be looking more like an aggressive tri-lane coming out of mith.trust here, because they can run Rubik, Leshrac, and Alchemist very, very aggressively indeed. Their position right now is that if they get the window of opportunity, if they can just kind of go forward and pressure on the Phantom Lancer, make sure he's not free farming away, they can make sure that the Invoker is getting that dedicated experience. Probably not in the mid lane, but just in a solo safe position, they can definitely run him as a viable core option. That's my perspective, absolutely. But of course, there's obviously a lot of different ways to play it out.
No, definitely. It's a versatile hero. It does look like... So this is Exord Invoker. This is going to be solo mag, mid Invoker, and the tri-lane. I like this. I don't generally like solo lane Magnus solo hard since the skewer change, because he is able to be punished. You can do quite a lot of damage to him. But, and it's a big but, you certainly aren't going to put a solo hard Invoker. And I think they just don't feel quite confident enough that they can run an aggressive try with a solo safe Invoker. Plus, solo safe Invoker, I'm not sure... I actually have literally never seen Invoker versus Lone Druid 1v1. So I'm not sure offhand who has the advantage. I feel like Lone Druid, though. Probably. Because Invoker doesn't bring the auto damage, and Lone Druid doesn't care about Sunstrike that much. He probably has the advantage. So they need to put the Invoker mid, more or less. I would maybe actually really like to see the Magnus solo safe in an aggressive try, because Rubik, Leshrac, and the Unstable Concoction on top is no joke. But I think they just want to play safe and get more farm, and not have to worry about ranking up that Unstable Concoction max first.
Yeah, so you can pretty much tell that this is going to be outright a very good game, considering the item pickups here. So many freaking GG branches. Like, all across the board, everybody's valuing those stats early on. They want to be rumbling back and forth here and there. The Lone Druid needs to survive himself quite a bit, and for that reason, he's actually not going to be doing as much for his bear here. He still has the Stout Shield, that's great, but he's actually, I guess he has been able to use his resources rather effectively. It's just a bear without tangos can actually find himself in a pretty rough position if he gets trapped in on the trees. They're already putting a lot of pressure out, even popping off a concoction just to screw over, but actually this doesn't hit hero. That only hits heroes. What is he doing? I just realized that myself. Probably the same time that Lurkel was doing it himself, but yeah, that only hits on heroes. No creeps allowed. And the bear does take a lot of hits, but of course, the Alchemist does take a few himself.
We're all getting an education today.
The Split Earth Lance does not, unfortunately. But to the right clicks, it might actually be enough to finish it off here. Yeah, there's no resummon on this bear, and a couple more right clicks will actually really, really ruin things here. The tower is going to get the kill. There is not going to be a 100 gold bounty, but all he accomplished was delaying the wave by about 20 seconds, and now it's still going to come on through. And I'm not sure exactly as far as the change of the lanes. With a little bit of good stacking and pulling, it's still something that mith.trust can get back under control.
Sure. I think, the potential upside would be that he could drag it back towards his tower, but it honestly doesn't look like that's going to happen. They do, this is a double pull, so they're actually in good shape. That was a pretty much total failure. It's hard, though. It really depends on the movement of the supports, and there's a lot of faking out involved, and it's quite difficult sometimes to actually get that Lone Druid bear through and do that clever little pulling play. And the fact that FCFC didn't manage it is no discredit to him. It's just something that sometimes you get unlucky, sometimes you just don't quite get the right position. It's tough.
Now we do see up on top lane that TNK is actually able to commit to a little bit more pressure back and forth. The Winter has actually been so focused on the neutrals that he hasn't been able to put much pressure on the lane. Magnus 1 versus 2, especially without having to worry about disables, is able to just find some experience here and there, sitting now at level 2. He hasn't really been doing too much as far as last hits. 3 is respectable, but it's not that big of a deal. He's able to participate in the lane, and that's something that very, very active supports are generally going to try to zone out.
Right. Exactly. I mean, he wants XP. Lone Druid wants XP. Everybody wants XP in this game. If you can't get your levels, you'll be in bad shape.
Bad damage.
Ooh.
Oh, with unstable Gotcha, perfect Sunstrike. The first blood
Nice.
comes out. That was beautiful timing from R5. Perfect Split Earth.
Really
Finding
good.
it out, rank 1 Split Earth against a Lone Druid who has a respectable 315 base MS. Getting the stun, following that up with a couple double damage right clicks, and a well-deserved first blood coming out for him.
Big plays, honestly. And pretty close to the E too, which we haven't had cause to use it in a while, because when Invokers play these days, they don't even always go Exhort. But I'm glad he has gone it. We might see some Ice quality Sunstrikes this game. We'll have to see what Abba has in store for us. But I mean, playing well so far. Without that Sunstrike, it would have been a lot more difficult to bring down that Lone Druid. But great coordination. I mean, they have a ton of stuns.
Ooh, speaking of, up on top lane, the Burst Strike will come out through Illuminate as well. TNK does get the skewer off, but a couple more right clicks. Miracle should be able to finish this. No, the salve comes out. He does get one more glance, though, and the right clicks from that illusion are going to set up that kill, as well as a lot of damage on this tower. That's 3 range creeps stacked up here. They did a single pull, I believe, and set it up so they could do a lot of damage here. There will be Magnus coming in, getting some experience of his own, and trying to force back Miracle, but in general, he's still going to be on the back foot.
Yeah. So they did end up giving Miracle his hard carry. This is, I mean, it's good for MUFC. He does pick up a kill there. Oh no, he picks up a, yeah, he gets the kill.
He got the
so
kill.
Tranquil Boots already for him. Of course, there was a Tranquil Boots nerf, but I think it did basically nothing to PL. Like, they're really no worse for PL than they were before. Last game, we saw Weaver with them. They're still good for Weaver, but the nerf is substantial. I feel like for PL in lane, the nerf means nothing. They're still just a great item.
The timing of that Lone Druid kill, I believe, killed the bear with almost all. The issue here is he doesn't have the resummon for 35 seconds, so he had definitely already resummoned it, or just summoned it a second time, once in Fountain, and then once after it got dropped down near the Tier 3 tower on bottom. But it looks like, yeah, FC did pop off that summon and has been without the bear for quite some time. That's forcing him to still remain at level 1 already 4 and almost a half minutes into the game. That's really awful for him, unfortunately.
Yeah. One way or another, they're going to have to find farm for FCFC. Now, they can rely on maybe eventually Myth will feel that they won the lane enough that they can rotate out and he can get his levels there. And, I mean, to be fair, the Lone Druid is not their #1 priority. They need to make sure that the PL actually gets his farm. So it's okay, but it's not good. They won't be happy with this. Interesting choice by TNK here, actually. He'll get away okay, so he's fine.
Yeah,
he just decides to use the last second of the invis to harass it a little bit.
Harass Winter, simultaneously stealing a last hit on Troll Summoner. It is going to help him just a little bit here and there. It's the little things, but you have to keep an eye on his mana pool, as he is going to have only enough for one of each spell in just a little bit here. But my in-game sound is fine as far as I know, but I'll just double check and turn it on and off just to make sure.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure, just because I can't hear you obviously because I have it muted, but people are complaining.
Yeah, the speech bubble was running, so presumably that means it was going through. But if not, then I do apologize, and hopefully the quick reset there did set it up nicely. Either way, there was a crash for me at the beginning. But now, back on into it. Let's see this action here. Lorkel and big Edict damage. Even if it's only rank 1, it still adds up so quickly. And it looks, because of this Alchemist ultimate being popped, they're going to be able to bring this tower down quickly.
No
which
problem.
actually sets up Invoker for his Midas as well. He bought the Gloves of Haste, has had that for a while, but now he's only 300 gold away from the recipe himself. And that's amazing to get for him, because the experience gain, it just unlocks his potential so much more so.
That is a patient way to play Invoker for sure. No boots, no bottle, just straight Midas. Okay, I buy it. I mean, you're right, Blaze. People talk about the gold of Midas a lot, and I think you're right to point out that for Invoker, the XP is a much bigger deal, because frankly, Invoker, he is somewhat item dependent, but what he is incredibly level dependent.
Yeah.
That's why he goes mid, that's why he takes solo lanes, and that's why he's going to play this Midas, is he's just going to get tons and tons of levels, and that'll make him a formidable force in this game. So, on the flip side for MUFC, I do think this PL is getting pretty good farm. He has 35 last hits, but look at the levels. Look at just how much the Alchemist actually has a level lead on this Phantom Lancer already. This is trouble for Miracle, I feel like, because that's exactly what Myth want. They want the Alchemist to peak much earlier than the PL, so that the PL can't deal with the sort of, especially before Heart, but after Mjolnir, those PL illusions are just going to get mowed down like nothing. Like grass in like a stiff wind. Like, they'll just get destroyed.
Most definitely. Now, we do see that the Invoker went for 1 point in Wex here, going 1, 1, and 3 for the time being, because he does want to have some defensive potential. Needs to go for that Ghost Walk in the worst case scenario, so that at the very least he forces some gold out for the detection, and at the best he can actually just completely avoid a kill here. So killing off a branch, picking up the Midas. Now he's going to be able to make it worth his while here, because he's going to be able to continue ranking up that Exort. Whether he goes for a 4-1-4 build or just goes for hardcore Exort, it's not going to be that big of a difference, because he has substantial experience gains with this Midas pickup, so that he is going to be racking up levels very, very quickly. He's already at 430 experience per minute, which is nice and substantial, and participating in like one more kill, so he's going to be on top of the world.
I guess they're still not getting sound for you in game, but I think it's just because you could disconnect it and reconnect it. It might just be a Dota TV specific issue. I mean, it's not too big of a deal. I just want to quickly, apologize to people who can't actually hear one or both of us, but I'm not sure we're actually able to fix it this game, unfortunately.
Yeah, I mean, I could try reconnecting, but honestly, I don't think, since I did disconnect, I
don't worry
really
about
know
it.
if there's anything else can be done.
I don't know. I think it's probably okay. As long as it's working in the stream, and I think it's working for some people in game, so I don't think it's a big deal. At any rate, yes, the XP. This is a big deal. Myth are actually going to, first of all, it's a big deal because in this game, unlike in the last game, Myth are not going to play passively the whole time. Because there is no point of getting tons more XP if you're not going to use it. So we will see them take the offensive earlier than they did last game, which is notable. The other thing they're going to do is they're just going to, for now, farm up very, very heavily. I mean, Lakel's did go the super greedy Alchemist build. We talked about the potential of him going with the Unstable Concoction. Obviously, he has not gone that route. Full Greevil's Greed. He's going to max Acid Spray second, and it'll give him a lot of AoE. It'll help out the push, and he will, of course, get tons, loads of money.
Yeah, loads of money. Most definitely, that's really, really intention here. By having that maxed out, by going for the Greevil's Greed, he's already racked up 590 gold per minute, and he's not going to stop anytime soon. He's actually going for a Battle Fury on top of that. Yeah. Holy crap, is he just going for farm. Farm, 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 and you want to really cap out quickly, this guy's going to be 6 slotted in like 25 minutes. It's insane how much you can get out of this.
It's farm. And it's also, frankly, not bad against Phantom Lancer either.
Oh, true. It's actually, twofold action right there, because it's great against the illusions, cleaves them down nicely. I mean, Miracle's going for a very passive, farm-oriented build where you just go with stats and lance, and even one in Doppelwalk. But when those Juxtapose and Phantom Edge illusions start coming on out, it's going to be something where the Battle Fury will come into play, get a lot of damage, and, of course, still allow him to farm more and more. The Ancients will be something he can actually focus on. The Acid Spray doing some damage there based on it being composite, and that is really, really going to help him out more and more, trying to come out on top of this PL.
No, it's serious for sure. I really think MUFC just need to find experience. That to me is a serious issue. Lone Druid, he is level 6. He's got his true form. He's going to build towards 7. 7's great. 8's better. You want to build up those levels on Lone Druid. I am concerned about Winter's Sand King. I really think they need to find an opportunity for him to hit 6 in a timely fashion and keep going. Sand King is a hero who at level 4 brings very little to the table, in my opinion. Just because his stun is still such low range. It starts out as an incredibly low range stun. Like, if you just look at the targeting circle around it, that's not a long stun. And you're up against a team that brings so many stuns to the table. The AoE from Magnus, the repositioning from Magnus, the concoction, the telekinesis, the split earth, the cold snap, for Christ's sakes. It's going to be so tough for Winter to get into these fights and do anything, especially before Epicenter.
Yeah, the range of initiation comparison is outrageous there. The one matchup that we saw Sand King previously, he did have a Shadow Demon to start things off for him, but no such luck in this case. He has to be the initiator, and it's not worked out for him thus far. Finally hitting level 5, he's improving that situation a little bit better, but with this Caustic Finale point pickup, I figured he'd be dual jungling a little bit more actively with the Keeper of the Light. Just illuminating waves down, doing a little bit Caustic here and there. They could easily clear some waves, but right now, he's really, really focused on putting kills on the board, and or at least making sure that Polison feels safe in this mid lane.
Definitely. I mean, my goodness, this Alchemist is he's just sitting in lane here, farming. Actually, is this Battle Fury?
Oh, so close. Yeah, he is just about to it. 200 gold away. This creep wave will make it Battle Fury. That is insane timing.
Please.
Oh my god, it's not even 12 minutes.
It's a 12-minute Battle Fury and treads.
And Midas.
And Midas.
Yeah.
You know that whole thing, like, people, all the palaver about, oh, you buy Midas and, like, it takes, like, 19 minutes to get back to where you were.
Yeah.
He's pretty much back.
Yeah. Already hardcore bounce back. It's so much in favor of him. He does get entangled up, but the bear only has a few HP to work with. He can just duel it out here. Shouldn't go for the concoction. He's learned his lesson about that. But other than that, just duking it out, dueling back and forth, he's perfectly fine to take those trades.
Yeah, Alchemist says no. I mean, FCFC, how is he going to stand against this Alchemist? Just walk up. I mean, this bear, it has a salve and a stout shield. And the hero has boots and tango. The bear doesn't even have boots. I mean, he's poor. He's not doing great on the money. And this Alchemist has jumped up to level 11 with a level 9 Invoker. Again, this Midas, great pickup. They sort of knew that MUFC just weren't going to feel that confident pushing out. I mean, they have a PL. This PL is not going to be that big yet. He's got 1,500. He's farming well, but this isn't a game where farming well is enough. He's 38 last hits behind the Alchemist, and that's deceptive because Alchemist gets a heck of a lot more out of every marginal last hit.
Okay, going in on Pulse on here. He is going to get tallied up. Sunstrike as well. The Splitter to follow. It's just too much damage with that Cold Snap. He can't even get a phase. Doesn't even get that window of opportunity. Just too much for him. Very, very unfortunate. And they are just making the right rotations, finding the Smoke Ganks. Where's the Smoke Ganks from MUFC? You really can't do it because you only got a Sand King and a Keeper. They don't. Right. They only just now are picking up the range of initiation they need, and it's actually not adding up to anything that can compete directly. Invoker, his biggest flaw is that he's so darn gankable early on, and he did pick up a security point in Wex, but other than that, he's not been detrimented at all. Even going on in Winter, just going to be able to do a lot of damage. The Sunstrike is lacking in mana, but now he has plenty available. Winter salving on up. The Sunstrike will hit, though, and actually drop him right back down to 115. He's going to have to fall back.
I mean, good Sandstorm and good Salve is what kept him alive there, but still, this is just hard to watch. They're so behind on levels that they're just getting bullied. I talked about the fact that MUFC did actually have some play early. I mean, Puck, Sand King, Keeper of the Light is not that slouchy of a lineup, but you need the levels, especially on Sand King, and that's what they're not really getting. All they're doing so far is managing to get farm on the Phantom Lancer. That's the one good thing. But it's so much less farm than what the Alchemist has. There's no pressure put on the Invoker at all. 2 assists for him. He's gonna have his I think that's a Yules pretty soon, and that'll give him great movement speed combined with the Tranquils. He will be mobile, he'll be ganky, and all for not a big price considering he has Midas.
Yeah, so one thing you were talking about how painful it is to watch where they can't really initiate effectively and they just take too much harassment damage. What's going to get painful is when this Alchemist actually starts going in for kills, actually starts team fighting. That is just going to be an eyesore of just this behemoth cleaving on through tons of literally cleave with the Battle Fury, and then going to be able to build up a ton of attack speed to follow that up and back that up. I smell Mjolnir coming, and Mjolnir Battle Fury. What the heck is Phantom Lancer going to do against that? If they have any detection, that is going to be Miracle running and hiding, and that's not where you want to be at as a PL.
Right, absolutely. As soon as this Alchemist finally feels confident that he's at least temporarily finished farming, which is going to be pretty soon. I mean, this Battle Fury has improved his jungle speed to shocking proportions. He's at 3,300 gold. I mean, we keep talking about this, but, like, why don't we see burning on Alchemist more? It seems like his sort of thing.
Nice, yeah. But the one thing you commented on is when he's finished farming, at least temporarily, is this Lorkel. He's not. You saw that game last game, right? Anti-Mage, hello? There's no end to it. He's 6-slotted, and he's got to have 3 buybacks saved up. I'm kidding, of course. He's just really good at carrying it up, and in this situation, we're obviously seeing that with 750 GPM compared to 330. What is that about? Oh my gosh.
I mean, what can you do? You're PL. You can even get a Midas on PL, but we're talking about Alchemist here, and we're talking about Alchemist that got all the protection necessary to make sure he got to rank 4 Greevil's Greed quickly, and there's nobody trying to stop him. I still feel like MUFC... in the last game, they sort of tried to go balls-to-the-wall aggression early, and then as soon as it stopped, they just stopped. Like, they just stood still and let Myth roll over them. I feel like this time, they didn't even go aggression at all. I mean, obviously they have the Phantom Lancer, and I said, I think we might see hard carry versus hard carry, but Myth knew. They knew that that's what MUFC were going to do. And so they ban out the AM, and they immediately say, fine, we'll play hard carry versus hard carry, but our hard carry is going to peak a lot sooner.
Yeah, and going to have much more impact. I did actually miss the kill on Puck, unfortunately. Tangle Proc does come on through. He can't stun. He actually gets hit up by himself. This is their window of opportunity to burn him down, but they don't actually commit the epicenter. Just no opportunity with the fall of Disables. There's the Lance. There's a lot of damage, but it's going to be TNK popping off a big reverse polarity. There is another it's a stolen Burrow Strike coming out for Rubik. That's going to be the kill of the Lone Druid, despite Winter coming on in to come to his aid. Illumate does a lot of damage, so TNK, R5, both going to drop down. Dreamcoil hitting on SD as well. They're going to be able to finish off Rubik, I believe, but they need to get Winter in to close the distance, or at least a Lance to slow him in his tracks. Yeah, they're going to go for the Lance here to get it, and that is going to be a kill, triple kill in the end for Miracle, and a buyback for Alchemist. So definitely a kill, a gold advantage moving in the terms of the MUFC carry compared to Lorkel, but he's just going to take that window of opportunity and keep on enhancing his farm. That GPM should be over 1k, and he's not going to let something as simple as death stop him from taking down those creeps.
Right. I mean, Signs, actually, I like the buyback because, honestly, he did have his Midas up, so you're losing a lot of Midas time if you don't actually buy back. Plus, he has the money, frankly, Blaze. He has the money. Signs of Life from MUFC, I like the play, but I feel like it was really only enabled by the fact that Lakel's is very good at farming on Alchemist, but the unstable concoctions.
Yeah, that's true. That's a fair point to make. If he hadn't
stunned himself with that unstable, that fight would never have happened. Like, it would have just never been set up for MUFC. So the moment that Lakel's takes his finger off the W key, I feel like Myth are back in the driver's seat.
Sure enough. One thing to mention, though, is that the Ogre form, the Chemical Rage, was popped. He thought he could close the distance on the Lone Dread, but that Entangle proc did come on through, so he couldn't get in the position he wanted to. He was caught out in the open, with his pants down there, and when the stun followed through, there was really nothing for him to do. So it was obviously to his detriment. Most of these stuns have been, but he had the right intentions at least. Invoker with the Yules, that is one dead puck. Nothing to be done about that. Big damage. That's another gem loss. This is real. Every single time FC picks up a gem to try to counteract the invis of the enemy and get some map control, immediately it's sniped up by mith.trust. Immediately they turn it right back around the other way, and now they have the map control. They have all the initiation potential of the world, and TNK and Viz is about to show that right here up on Miracle. Easy opportunity. They just need one more TP on in. They're going on. Here is actually an RP committed directly. He does, however, invis on out. Do they have detection at all? They skewer him there, and they still can't see him. Just trying to go for the AoE stun the Alchemist, but again, it just lands on Lorkel alone.
Take your finger off. You are no longer allowed to cast Unstable Concoction. Just stick to the farming aspect of Alchemist. I mean, which, let's be fair, this is like featured farmer levels of Alchemist here. Like, this is great, but you gotta stop Unstable Concoction. Just stop doing it.
Just not his opportunity there. So he is finding as much farm as possible, has the heart, but doesn't want to he wants to make sure that the buyback that he's getting in 2.5 minutes is paid for a couple times over before he actually finishes off the heart. Now has it on the courier, all good to go with a lot of HP, and now because of that HP regeneration, he can heart concoction himself all day long. He'll just get it right back.
Do you think he's going to just go Vlad's? He's just going to be like, Alchemist, Anti-Mage, 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. I'll just make the exact same item build on both. I would like to see Mjolnir, frankly.
Yeah, Mjolnir is definitely going to be...
I think it'll be a good compliment, just in terms of... PL at that point, you don't give two hoots, frankly. You've got Empower, you've got Battle Fury, and you've got Mjolnir, and you can just push right through it. I would like to see that. Magnus does pick up his Blink. That'll be great further initiation that they can do. And, I mean, Myth, even though it's fun...
What's that?
Sorry. Just the entire jungle dying in one fell swoop.
Yep, that's what you can do with this Acid Spray, with this Cleave. But he's actually going to go for the Assault Cuirass. That's interesting.
That's good, honestly. It gives him attack speed. It gives him survivability. Lakel's just... The man likes his safe builds. I think he's thinking, when I inevitably stun myself with Unstable Concoction the next time, I'd like some armor. That would be nice. And I mean, that's Assault Cuirass. It gives you that armor. You won't get that from a Mjolnir.
Scouting out with the Sunstrike a little bit, trying to get a beat on Lubby, who, oh my gosh, I feel so bad. The Vengeful Spirit game, he had a rough time getting off the ground with the big items, and I gotta say, it's just as bad, if not worse, for this situation here. He has not even got a buckler. He's sitting on that headdress, and he's been that way for quite some time.
Right. I mean, they need that mechanism, frankly, because when they get caught out even by just the Invoker, the Yule's Sunstrike Meatball has been enough to just pick people off. And I feel like with Mechanism they feel a little better about that. Winter has improved his level situation somewhat, by the way. He is now level 8.
Oh, RP committed onto Winter. He's going to be losing that level situation advantage a little bit here. He is going to be able to actually Sandstorm out, but the right clicks from the Invoker just a little bit too much. He actually has a Blink to top off his Yules, and Abba is pretty much got his control of the map. Tranquil's even, so he's actually, obviously he doesn't have Wex active, but he's still sitting at 385 MS, which is extremely strong.
Oh, actually, good spider sense here. I think he's gonna get out before they can do anything to him. It depends on this invoker play.
No, he's got Yules, no TP, he's got Cold Snap. It's all gonna be too much. Deafening Blast will follow on through. The damage, he's gonna go for the TP, but one little Split Earth is all they need, or just a quick Skewer, Lightning, everything they want. They pretty much just have to like hit buttons and click on him, and suddenly he doesn't have it stand a chance. He was in a decent position, but that blink, setting things up too early on for him to retaliate, and now they have 2 Blink heroes. They don't have a Shadow Blade and the Alchemist or anything, but they're just kind of going in, starting things off with the Mag, with the Invoker, and they have the follow-through with just about everybody else.
So, Blaze, I'm going to be a little, pop off a little bit and say, what odds would somebody have to give you for MUFC dragging this back for you to be like, that's a reasonable bet?
It depends on what stakes. It depends on how much I'm actually committing there. Because if I'm playing with a reasonable amount of money, I don't think any stakes would be good enough. If I'm talking like, if I had $100 and a chance to win $1 million, it's still a tough one. Because that's still.
It's just not every day that like a team has LD and Phantom Lancer, and you're like, man, these guys just, the longer this goes, the worse it gets.
Yeah.
Like, what?
You really don't say that ever, but in this situation, it's not like they have any kind of single target lockdown. The Basher will be, actually never for the Lone Druid, because it looks like he wants to go for Mjolnir.
Oh, that meatball.
Actually not seeing that one at all, because I was looking across the map, but yeah.
Meatball, it was wonderful from Abba. He meatballed across from the ancient camp down to the other side to hit Puck, and it landed perfectly and killed him.
Really, really cool play. I was actually watching the push down on the tier 2 bottom. It looked like they were going to put some pressure on Alchemist, but his single entangle proc, you're not going to follow up, because he's got that plate mail, he's got 2400 HP to work with, and yeah, there's just not any reason to take that kind of a risk. But cool play on Puck. They actually have been destroying this Puck, which is something that you generally don't see. 1, 4, and 2 Puck, he has his blink. Generally speaking, that means and he's not unkillable, but he has so much survivability potential as just being a slippery hero. But until that phase shift gets ranked up, every single time this initiation comes on through, they can set it up so that he is completely screwed every single time. I had a train of thought. Oh, the late game potential of the setup here, Phantom Lancer and the Lone Druid. If FZFC went for like a Basher and attack speed, that would be one thing. But going for this Mjolnir here, he's going to be able to answer back with a little bit of magic damage here and there, but Alchemist is going to shrug it off. Oh wow, initiation from Abba. Going to go for another Sunstrike, and yeah, just nothing really more to say about that. Telekinesis technically reducing the damage that Meatball could do, but you know, this
is like one of those Invoker Pure Skills YouTube videos where they don't show you the level of the Invoker, and you're just like, wow, he's really tearing those guys up. And then you see, well, you know, this is a level 15 Invoker picking on a level 13 Lone Druid. Like, Midas Invoker, Yule's Blink, pretty good, pretty strong hero. Can actually get those kills, no problem. Keep in mind also the vision, none for MUFC. Everything for Myth.
I want to keep on just seeing these buffs keep on coming for LK. He's getting Alacrity, he's getting Empower, he just keeps on stacking up his damage. He has super low, he has 1.0 BAT, he has great attack speed with the Treads and AC, and he pretty much just can do whatever the heck he wants. Right here, that is just insane damage output for only 25 minutes in.
Here's the funny thing. He's 0-1-1.
What?
This PL is 4-0.
Oh my god.
Miracle playing his heart out. Alchemist barely participated. But like, you know, he has this outsized influence on our perception of the game, despite doing almost nothing in the game other than PvE.
Yeah, right? That's because you're hitting the KDA button, I'm hitting the net worth button, and they're kind of showing something a little bit skewed when you're running freaking double the Phantom Lancer in net worth. That's just.
I've got it locked on GPM, Blaze, because I'm waiting for the 4 digits.
Oh yeah, you know, yeah. If he doesn't hit 4 digits, then he's pretty much failed his team and just probably should be looking for an alternate, because they just have to go for the replays. But no, he's been racking up GPM like crazy. He might just hit it in like the next. Not this
get it, I think. The problem with 1000 GPM is it's a little hard to sustain it in a game that's longer than 33 or so minutes. So mith.trust may have to bite the bullet and win this at some point, which I know might be hard for them to hear. It might be hard for Lakills to hear that he will at some point have to kill some people, but they can do it. And I think if they do, he will broach that 1000 mark and stay there, which I want him to do. I want that 1000 GPM. I'm cheering for it.
Yeah. You got to think, when you're playing this well and you don't even have to worry about the heroes, as it's been pretty much these past 2 games, it's just farm like crazy, pick up a friggin' butterfly, and just do whatever you want in every single... game. Like, what? I don't know. It's like in this mindset, is this like a bots game to you? Like, you're playing here and you don't care whatever the enemy heroes do. They're running around, they're doing their own thing. They're ganking bots and they're doing Roshan, and you're just like, yeah, you know, creeps. I just practice it out in the jungle.
Exactly right, because the bots always have their own master plan, and you're never privy to it. And you always play a hard carry because obviously you can't trust the bots to carry. So you're just like, you know what? You guys can go do whatever. I'll just farm. And I think these are unfair bots, because this has been perfect execution with the Yule Sunstrike on the Invoker. So if you've got unfair bots on your side, I feel like you feel pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, mith.trust has been doing very, very well without the assistance of the Alchemist. But I'm not trashing on MUFC, but the numbers are showing themselves. The Phantom Lancer hasn't kept up in farm, whether because mith.trust has been so great at putting pressure out where he can't find a safe place, or whether it's the fact that it's just been PL not really capitalizing on the time periods that he's been finding.
The poor tower. The poor everything.
The poor everything.
I mean, honestly, Miracle's doing great. He has 500 GPM at 28 minutes. That's quite good on PL, and he's 4-0-1. That's quite good. There's just one tiny...
Holy crap, this RP. Too much damage. Oh my gosh. We haven't even gotten to call a team fight this entire freaking game, but finally it comes out. TNK delivers, setting it up for LK, which we already know how much he can friggin' do, and just like with 4 very, very quick swings, he's able to just completely destroy a vast majority of the team.
Blaze, I'm holding up 4 fingers. Do you know why?
Why is that?
4 digits. GPM, okay. Son.
And we do see a dominating spree for the Rubik as he does pick up a kill, steals the Dream Crow, throws it the other way, gets the kill on the puck, and now they're on complete defense. Miracle and Winter can do something, but up against the Alchemist, it's not going to be a kill. It's just going to be, please leave us alone. Give us like 5 more minutes. I'm trying to farm my own Heart of Tarrasque or something else. I don't even know, because in this state of mind, you have, a great agi gain. You have 4.2 agi gain. Everybody talks about that all the time. But right here, what's he backing that up with? He's got a Drum, a Manta, and a Diffusal Blade. Huge damage onto support. So he can screw over Rubik until he buys a Ghost Scepter. But when it comes down to contesting this Alchemist will hit every single enemy with this Battle Fury, with the Empower, and, you know, from there, all the illusions are going to be gone. It's going to be a single Phantom Lancer standing around there and really wishing that he had some friends to hang out with, because he's going to be caught out by himself. He's going to be the last man standing, and he'll walk away, perhaps, but it just isn't going to be very, very relevant in how much damage he can outpush.
I mean, the draft, I think MUFC activated mith.trust trap card. They knew that MUFC were going to look to play a more safe game, and they picked the one hero who, if you give him completely safe farm, how many heroes are going to have 6 items at 30 minutes? It's actually just this one. There is no other hero that does this. And so mith.trust pocket that Alchemist, they put him out on the table, and they just put an enormous amount of pressure on. And Miracle, again, this guy's playing his heart out. Like, we don't talk enough about this guy. This is good counter push that he's generating. This actually will be a lot of tier 3 pressure, which is not nothing. Any time that they can keep mith.trust off their base is, time that they worry a lot less. And there's Blink for Sand King. Like, MUFC are trying. It's just not enough.
Yeah. No, I don't think really much at all will be enough at this stage. 6-slot Alchemist. There's not going to be any MKBs anytime soon, so 35% evasion is here to stay. On top of that, 2,500 HP, huge chunks of armor. You can epicenter him, you can do everything, but other than disable and delay his damage, nothing's going to change. RP comes out on the bear alone. I'm not sure exactly why. The Unsaving Collection whipped again. I don't think he's hit one all game, but it doesn't matter. The right clicks are there. And
Alacrity, Empower. Look at his attack speed.
It's just stupid. Winter coming in for the epicenter. We'll be able to bring down R5, trying to really just trade damage on supports, but he's going to fall by himself. Here comes Alchemist, but he doesn't have his ulti, so he might not be able to bring down Lone Druid, but with the Cold Snap and the Burrow Strike still, that thought is put to rest very, very quickly. Miracle does get his invis, will be able to walk away. Buyback's coming out, but it's on the side of mith.trust, because they're the ones that have the gold.
Did you just say he might not be able to bring down the Lone Druid?
He didn't have his ulti up, so there's a huge, huge lack of damage, but the fall of disables changed that entirely. I'm saying he himself couldn't solo the Lone Druid in that time period that far away from Fountain, but they still have a lot of invokes on Invoker. He is setting up, he is level 17, that's the big thing there. He casts a ton of spells in that fight. If he was sitting at only a rank 3 ulti instead of rank 4, I think they might have not gotten the Cold Snap, and of course, if Rubik didn't steal the Burrow Strike, those 2 disables wouldn't have been there. But of course, things changed around, those 2 dropped, and that easily set it up so Alchemist could finish his very, very honorable work.
Right. Well, that's certainly a plausible explanation, but I gotta say, Blaze, I doubt your commitment to Alco Motion. Saying that, I don't know, Blaze. I don't know. You gotta have faith. You gotta have faith in this Alchemist. And his, like, 0 point, his basically, I think he, with the Alacrity, is topped out.
Yeah, I don't think he can get faster in his attack speed. Maybe that's why he's ignoring the Mjolnir. He can just go for harder damage because...
Well, also, what's he gonna do, sell the Aegis? I don't think it sells for 500 anymore. Or does it? The cheese sells. I don't think
the cheese sells. The Aegis does not. But you know, you just gotta wait it out. Get that trash out of your inventory so you can pick up a real item.
Yeah, I agree. Get that Aegis trash out. Holding an Aegis is the most cowardly thing you can do because it implies that you think you might be able to die. So, in my opinion, the honorable move would be to drop the Aegis and pick up an item.
Shoot. Yeah, it's
perhaps Dagon 5. He can get the 14,000 gold that you need for it.
Holy shit, I just realized he's 32k. He's keeping up 1,000... Like, I know we're talking 1,000 GPM, but when you see that, a 33-minute game and see 32k net worth, it just hits home.
He did go... Yes! He did it, Blaze! He fucking did it! The Aegis is on the courier! Or wait,
no, it expired. It expired. You cannot drop it. You cannot drop it. But still, look at this attack speed. Holy crap, 0.26. 0.26. He's doing whatever he wants. 500 AS is the max, so... Oh my gosh. Even with the Blinding Light, he's still landing hits back and forth. Brings down the tower, going for more. What are you going to do? Just nothing. He has nearly everything maxed on out. Just too much. Here comes into Epicenter. They're going to get the RP onto 2. Winter and Lubby. 2 right clicks. Easy, easy. No! Gotta get a concoction. He got a concoction. He landed his first concoction of the game.
No, second
concoction. Now we're going in. The range racks will fall, and this is going to be it. We've been joking around. This has been dragged out as long as it really can be in this kind of a situation, but now LK finally manning up for it, and there's the good game coming out of Winter. They did try their heart out. I can't blame them for participating as they did. They did pretty well, and they definitely deserve to be commended for sticking to it, but in this situation it was just too much, especially when that Invoker started getting out of control.
He's 6-0, and he has almost 600 GPM as PL. He will not die this game. And if I told you in a vacuum that happened, you'd be like, huh, they had a pretty good game. But,
he did die once.
Little thing where there's an Alchemist?
Yeah. No, he actually did just buy back, so he's 7-1 now, but, you know.
Okay.
Nevertheless, that's it. That's just too much. So, I think we pretty much spent the latter half of the 14 minutes summing up that game. Do you have any other closing thoughts to throw on out there?
Now I'm holding both of my hands up, both with 4 fingers, because he is solidly within the... This is not the greatest featured farmer that we've ever seen, but this is easily enough for featured farmer. And actually, I would look out next week. I don't know if non-public games are eligible for it, but it'd be funny as hell if a professional game was actually highlighted on the, somebody farmed really well.
Yeah, I gotta say, if there's such a thing, it's the non-participation featured farmer, because every single one that gets on that list is like just pub stopping, getting stupid kills from stupid players. MUFC played it cautiously enough, made sure they weren't making those dumb mistakes, dodging out concoctions, fogging it out, didn't let him get any kills until the very last minute, but he still found the creeps. He found the neutrals. It's his environment that he feels very, very well at home at, and LK just taking it down, farming up 378 last hits, 34 minutes, a GPM of 1129, just too much to handle. And in this situation, yeah, that's it. 6-slotted Alchemist, carrying the game to victory. They had 3 blinks to back him up. They had the initiation. He had the follow-up, and there's really not much more to say about that, other than the levels. 22 versus Lone Druid is 14. Supports that are 11 and 12, Puck that's mid that's got 12. It's just like, other than the PL, they are just complete food for him. And he didn't even take the bite. He just was able to focus on what he wanted, and he took clear objectives. So you keep on talking about Alorical as if he was the team, but in this situation, it felt like Abba, although he played great, didn't even need to do everything that he did. He just kind of needed to be at his back, pop off a couple buffs, throw down a couple disables, and suddenly the team fight is theirs.
The main thing was actually the kills on Lone Druid. It's that they made sure that anti-push was never a problem. Like there was an opportunity later on when Miracle actually did pretty good counter push. If the Lone Druid had done more setup for that, if FCFC had managed to push through a bunch of towers, then the PL could actually do a lot of pressure to force the Alchemist back. They still would have won. That would not have made the difference, but it mattered, honestly.
Most definitely. Anyways, that's going to be it for this game here. This was the match between mith.trust and MUFC, but it is since concluded as MUFC take that second win. Just too much to handle, 2-0 victory up against MUFC, and that's going to move them on mith.trust into this semifinals round.
Do you know who they're facing in the semis?
Looking back at the brackets, it would be the winner between Orange and Ultimate, which obviously we weren't casting that one directly, so we'll have to see the results for that. But otherwise, yeah, that is going to be presumably the next match that we would be looking to cover. The question is whether or not I'm awake for that. I think I can manage. So, assuming they still need English casters to cover that on up, assuming you're in pretty much playing all in, Vikrmond. Is that the case?
Yeah.
All right.
Pretty much.
That's it. All right. All in. What we're going to do is look for more instruction from the administration and see what this matchup is going to be, because that was some interesting Dota, and I'm curious to see what's going to go on between Orange and Ultimate and how that's going to be resulting with this next matchup. So we'll get information as it comes to us, but in the meantime, thank you guys so much for tuning in. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. Again, we are not generally going to be casting for Beyond the Summit, but a nice opportunity to try a different field and also just help out LD because he did need a little bit of extra coverage here. So again, I am Blaze. You can check me out at BlazeCasting on Twitter. So I do also have YouTube and Twitch at /BlazeCasting, but generally speaking, you're going to be looking for me on Twitter for what my coverage entails. And for you, Vikrmond?
VYKROMOND. Google it. I'm on Twitch. I would probably prefer people follow me on Twitch if you want, but I also have a website. I also have a Twitter, all that good stuff. Thanks for the opportunity, Liz. I'm really excited to go up into these semifinal matches. We've had a couple one-sided games. None would probably call this last game good in the grand scheme of things, but it was a fun one to watch and definitely a fun one to observe as something fairly remarkable happened.
So that's going to be it. It might be as much as far as the scheduling goes, it might be as late as an hour from now, because it is technically finished a little bit early. These two games, despite being late game carry games, actually finished with relatively good timing, no delays or anything along those lines. So could be up to an hour, but we're probably just going to do it so that if both semifinal matches or quarterfinal matches are taken care of, we'll move on into the semis. So thank you guys for tuning in. Hopefully you guys enjoyed, and yeah, props to Alchemist. That's going to be it.